I want to talk to you a bit about vintage lenses, using vintage lenses with modern DSLR. This is a Canon 40D, and I'm using a Rokinon, I believe it's a, hold on, I'm old, an 80 by 250 lens. And this is an old film lens, a very old film lens. It's manual focus, manual f-stop, all that. It says it has a macro setting, but it's at 1 to 4. Macro setting is typically referred to as 1-to-1 magnification, which basically means that if you were to, that the thing looks the same as it would on a full frame sensor. And that's probably not absolutely correct. I don't understand it all. Understand I'm not a teacher. I'm not a professional. I'm just sharing my photography trip with you. And I don't care about all of that. All I care about is what kind of pictures can I get out of it? Can I get close? Can I get far away? Can I get it in focus? Does it have good color? All that stuff. Alright? That's all I care about. So I don't worry too much about it. Now what we're doing here is I'm sitting around in here and I'm waiting for intel. And that's kind of a waiting game. It's going to take a while. So, but I want to talk to you about using these vintage lenses because these vintage lenses can be a really big bang for your buck. This lens costs $2.50. Now in order to use these lenses, most cameras require some type of adapter. This is a DSLR, not a mirrorless, so there's some differences. So what I want to do, if you look, well, let's do that because I don't want dust in my lens. But if you look, I have a ring here. It's an adapter. And there's a piece of glass in this one. The mirrorless cameras don't require that piece of glass. I'll talk to you a bit about that here in a minute. But the way a camera usually works, if I can get it to, there we go. The way a camera usually works is there's a sensor inside. And there's a certain distance from the end from the back of the lens to the sensor. It's called, I believe, the flange distance. And what that does is that's what allows the camera to focus properly, or the lens rather. But when you put something in between the lens and the body, you're increasing flange distance, and it causes issues with focus. So the way they get around it with DSLRs is there's that little piece of glass in the middle is a magnified, it magnifies the proper magnification to make up for the difference between the thickness of the adapter. And some people say that that can cause distortion and aberration, and if the glass is not as good as the glass that's in the lens, it can degrade the picture or whatever. These are old lenses. They're not anywhere near as technically right as a lot of the newer stuff. Okay, so I've not had any issues with it. I like the pictures I get with these, so I don't have a problem with it, but that's something to consider with them. The mirrorless lenses, or the mirrorless cameras rather, don't require any kind of glass in between. It's just a hollow tube of a correct length. And so if you use a lot of vintage glass, you could consider going mirrored. But it works either way. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just set this on the tripod. And there's some little flowers and stuff like that in here. I'm going to go ahead and take a shot of that while I'm waiting on something to flitter on by or hop on by or whatever that I can take a photograph of. A lot of times with these, you can use live view. I've not done it as much as I should. One of the things you can do is when you stop these lenses down, I'm going to stop this down, excuse me, F11. When you stop these lenses down, the viewfinder gets dark because normally when you're looking at a DSLR, you're looking at the lens through its widest aperture and the lens doesn't stop down until you actually hit the shutter button. On these, you're manually stopping it down to where you want it. So you can use live view and you can zoom in and get your focus as perfectly as you can get it. Make sure my then, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a timer on it. Second time. Oh, that's lovely. And you can do that to help you focus. But these are wonderful, wonderful lenses if you take the time to use them. We switched locations. I wasn't getting enough light because it was raining. The skies were overcast and we were in the woods. So I've come down to a local park and I'm going to do some handheld now. Where before I was on the tripod, I'll be doing these handheld. I've got my ISO at 1000 and my shutter speed I'll adjust. Right now I'm getting a shutter speed of 500, but it'll fluctuate depending on where I point the camera. And I'm going to take a shot of this dead flower handheld with this lens. You have to remember this is a 250 millimeter focal distance, so I'm way off the subject, which is good for a lot of things, particularly insects and birds and stuff like that. I'm at f4.5. I'm wide open. That's 1/800th of a second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drop my ISO down to 640 since I've got light. Let me see what that does. That gives me 400. That gives me 1/400th of shutter speed, which is plenty for a 250 millimeter lens. All I'm doing is just standing here waiting for insects to land so that I can take photographs of them. This flower has a really cool stamen in it, so I'm going to see how close I can get on that. tons of flies flying around, but I don't know if I can get them. I don't know if they will sit still. Alright, that's going to be it for today. I had a wonderful time shooting with a vintage lens, out in God's country, enjoying nature, and even if I don't come away with anything, and I will need to look at the photos, and I'll put them on if they're any good. Even if I came away with nothing but the memory of being out here, been a fantastic time. Thanks for joining me. I'll talk to you later.